sociology, and we can use it just as an excuse to get to a completely different culture, or we can take it at face value as a problem we need to solve.
Yeah.
And I sort of think about space science fiction as, things.
No matter how you do it, whether it's 2001 or Star Wars, they're adventures. The big boogeyman is the unknown.
Right.
Because the thing about humans are, the stars, the planets, and the things have to mean something. Curiosity and imagination bring you things like stories.
So you're saying it's a mystical connection.
There's a mystical connection with the sky and with stars and all things. So
that awe and bring it into a movie theater and feel what it might be like to go.
Houston, I have a bad feeling about this mission.
What Alfonso Cuarón does with the camera at the very beginning of Gravity is you have this extended single camera shot where you watch, and then the camera will spin around and you'll see how small a human is in front of the vastness of the universe.
Can't beat the view.
It showed them not only what the view looked like, but almost hurt your eyes because the edges are so sharp and it's giant.
So what do you like about being up here?
The silence. And she's been up there for a couple months with 5 guys, and I think she'd love to talk to Sandra Bullock.
Fiction movie, he essentially invented movie special effects.
Quickly in cinematic depictions of outer space and space travel. So as early as the 1920s, you have films like Woman in the Moon by Fritz Lang. Seats, and as the ship is taking off, they can feel the pressure of the G-force on their chests, struggling to breathe as they lift off.
And then you've got writers that work for John Dolitude, and that's when you start getting realistic, believable space adventures.
Tell us about this trip to the moon. Do you think this is possible?
Oh, yes, it's quite possible.
We're here, aren't we?
Not only are we here, but it can be done. It can be done as soon as...
Fiction, but I think before that, and beyond that, he was the guru of logical science fiction. Heinlein asked the question, which is the classic hard science fiction question, how do you do it? How do you solve that problem? Even today, that's a key.
The Cuaróns wanted to recreate the good, the bad, and the ugly of space travel.
Look, we need to get the hell out of here. Need some help there, man? No, don't wait for us.
One of the things I discussed with the Cuaróns was the Kessler syndrome. Space debris is a real concern for any spacecraft that has to travel through low Earth orbits. At the speeds debris can travel, a small object like a bolt can hit you with the kinetic.
The film Gravity is visually compelling because it really sets up the unforgiving dynamic. How just the smallest step in the wrong...
There's a lot of secrets in the universe. We don't know anything. That's the one thing I do know for sure, but...
The holy grail of space travel. And right now, it's the bolognium. Bolognium is in light travel work.
So here is a perfect limitation for an artist. You can't go faster than light speed.
What a rush. And with that rush, science fiction launches an age of exploration.
We're down to point 3896 of light speed.
Forbidden Planet is one of those rare, big-budget later science fiction. Specifically, Star Trek, if not directly took from, was certainly inspired by the saucer section of the Enterprise without the rest of it. These discs they stand on, it looks just like the transporter. It definitely looks like the designers of Star Trek looked at this and said, boy, this is a beautiful-looking movie.
The importance of Star Trek is that it brought space into the living rooms of Americans and people really across the globe. It made space
Star Trek was a classic humanistic vision of the kind of utopian future that you
Enterprise.
Gene Roddenberry said he wanted to do an all-inclusive series in space with all the ideas that could more easily be
Gone before.
So you could deal with controversial issues, but they weren't controversial because they're distanced. They're not us. That's not our own society.
We did want to get into racial issues, sexist issues that were going to tell stories about things going on right here on Earth.
This is no game, Captain. 500,000 people have just been killed.
There's an episode called A Taste of Armageddon.
Fight their war with computers, totally.
Computers don't kill 500,000 people. Deaths have been registered. Of course, they have 24 hours to report. to our disintegration machines.
At the very end of it, Kirk...
But we can stop it. We can admit that we're killers, but we're not going to kill
blacks.
When I brought in a mixed racial crew, both the network and Desilu Studios, which headed...
Gene Roddenberry created this group where this beautiful black woman showed me, which was that I had a future in the world.
Is hope.
May we together become greater than the sum of both of us.
What I took from the original series was the love humanity is able to have, even if it's set in a time that they may
live long and prosper.
The cultural importance of the Star Trek franchise can't be underestimated. We've had to date 7 different series, 13. There would be opportunities for us to meet each other in space and to learn from each other.
The most powerful message to me of Star Trek was just the idea that by stepping out into the universe, but that's a universe I want to go live in. I want to go get on a starship. I want to be part of the Federation.
2001, as far as I'm concerned, is the best science fiction film ever made. It's impeccable the way they put it together.
The discovery coming overhead endlessly is basically the precursor of the opening shot of Star Wars. It stunned everybody, myself included.
But everything always had a reality to it.
The first shot in the movie was sort of the touchstone for whether it was going to work or not. It had a...
That is a shot of pure awe, where suddenly, as a viewer, you're just knocked out by the potential of space and where this movie could go.
This was revolutionary. Really felt like...
What your influences were that fed into the creation of Star Wars. As much as Star Wars seemed to just leap from your forehead, fully formed, it had roots that...
The world pops into your head fully formed. It's an accumulation of all the things you've seen, and then when you go to regurgitate it into your own thing, you take all the best parts.
The roll-up. That was taken from Akira Kurosawa. So in terms of cowboy films, Lucas was very influenced by John Ford's The Searchers, which contains a scene that very much mirrors the scene where Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru are murdered.
Martha! Martha! Uncle Owen! Aunt Beru!
That definitely helped fuel this notion that...
One of the things that was really critical in Star Wars was, again, this sense of adrenaline and
It's just like Beggar's Canyon back home.
So that was really the idea behind the trench for the Death Star. Let's get people down.
It's Luke seeing the 2 suns set. It vibe to it.
That is a shot that I can relate to as a teenager in Texas. That is a shot that I think any kid can relate to, this idea of what is next for me and how do I go?
One of the reasons why I made Star Wars is it's made for 12-year-olds. I said, I'm not going to obey the rules. If you can imagine.
You single-handedly revolutionized science fiction and pop culture with less money every year, and then all of a sudden you came along with another vision. One of them.
Space opera. It's not science fiction. And it's because it's really just, one of those soap operas only in space.
Yeah, but it's more than that, and you know it is. It's a neo-think of had the used future idea. The future was always shiny. It was always perfect. It always had just been unwrapped on Christmas morning because it was this kind of optimistic ideal. And you said no, the future. So the sand crawler's all rusted and things are kind of broken, and it looked like it had been lived in. So where did that idea come from? Because there was no precursor to that.
Kind of infected this vision of the future, and it's like, okay, if we get into outer space, probably giant corporations are still gonna be running everything. And that's when
where you have a spacecraft that looks like it's been through the mill. Things are leaking, steam's sprouting out of broken pipes, it's grimy, and the place is a mess.
And it's, I think, no accident that in a lot of these films, it's the...
For us and all the other mining operations that could put my people out of business.
Don't worry. He's a dead man.
From the moment that humans set off to
and lead to something like a militarized society like the Starship Troopers.
Of mentality that was encouraged in the U.S. Army was
people are doing, especially in the newsreels, continuously telling these are your heroes and heroines. By the way, they're probably fascist.
And what's fascinating about these patriotic newsreels, they are very shot-for-shot similar to Triumph of the Will.
Almost like a 1950s B-movie. Starship Troopers is Troy Donahue and Sandra Dee go to outer space, fight giant bugs, and become Nazis, was my kind of log line.
Is followed by colonialization and exploitation. So we've always done this.
If one of us was impregnated, I don't know which species is worse. You don't see them each other over for a damn percentage.
And I think what you see in science fiction is as we reach out into...
My parents thought that television, and this is back in the early 50s, was the worst influence. So they prevented me from watching television. I could only watch like Jackie Gleason, The Honeymooners.
Yeah, right.
And so I started their natural ability to create worlds that don't exist.
I mean, I remember when I saw...
Chesley Bonestell was considered the father of space art or astronomic art.
Skimp on the language. You've got to make sure that everything really holds together.
And the language I wrote it's like 400 words. And I make a little dictionary. And that was interesting because the only two persons who can speak the language at the time was Mila and me. We were kind of...
I think there's like a first, middle, and last somewhere in there. Don't ask me which. Working with Luc Besson, who wrote and directed Fifth Element, it changed my life. Just
in space. I like the fantasy of it. And I just take a subject like the law, the police, the food.
Good fortune for you.
And then I start writing, talk about it. Science fiction is probably the best way to open your mind about everything. Easier. It doesn't like, so hard to push.
What would it be? And I came up with Rocket Raccoon as a result of experiments on his body to turn him into something that's designed to kill.
Ain't no thing like me except me.
I remember like it was yesterday, we were getting ready to shoot this scene where Groot grows into sort of like this nest and protects us from this impact that was just going to completely kill us.
We are Groot is the line of dialogue that every single other thing in the movie is hanging. That is an outer space family.
today it is you who learn the...
You're dreaming. Is it about Mars?
The angry red planet. We're heading straight for Mars.
Ooh. But the solar system is now very much within our reach.
The closest Mars ever gets to us is 36 million miles, which doesn't seem so huge when you think about light years. It's a tiny...
As Mark Watney, he doesn't power through problems without hitting a hitch. He hits every single hitch there is. And you get...
Again, please. Houston, we have a problem.
My father is a particle physicist and my mother is an electrical engineer. So I was pretty much doomed to be a nerd.
Heavily on what I call gallows humor. I'm not going to think too much about this. I'm going to take it day by day, hour by hour, and I'm going to have to science the out of to get my survival going.
And why it has that realism to it.
This is space. It does not cooperate. At some point, everything's going to go south and you're going to say, this is it.